An ordinary Tuesday in Scottsdale, the heat had finally broken, leaving behind a warm, dry air smelling of sagebrush and dust. I was finishing the last sip of iced tea, scrolling through email on my tablet. Lisa, my wife, was knitting on the couch. The only sounds were the steady click of her needles and the credits of some show on the TV. Perfect, predictable normalcy, a seamless ring, and then it shattered. At 11:17 p.m., all our phones detonated at once, not a ringtone, not a melody, that soul-chilling, piercing electronic shriek of the emergency alert system, the one you hear during tests or, God forbid, a real disaster. 3 phones on the nightstand, on the kitchen counter, in my pocket, all wailed in unison, making Lisa scream and me drop my tablet. On the screens, flooding the room with a sinister white light, blocky, official text scrolled, emergency call received from this address. Caller reported an assault. Units are en route. Remain on site. My heart plummeted, and my brain, rejecting logic, spat out one thought: Sophie, our daughter, she's 15, Sophie. Lisa gasped, already scrambling off the couch. We tore down the hallway, stumbling over each other, a pair of 40-year-old idiots in pajamas led by blind animal fear. Her door was ajar. I burst in, braced for the worst. Blood, chaos, a stranger in the dark, but there was only her small form curled under the blanket, steady, calm breathing, on her nightstand. Her phone glowed peacefully with Instagram notifications from friends. I stepped closer, listening to that sweet sound of sleep. She was lightly snoring, her cheek was pressed to the pillow, no hint of panic, of tears. She's asleep, I whispered, and my own words sounded like an absurdity, a mockery, but the alert. Lisa clutched her head. Our address, an assault. We checked her phone in silence. Call history. Only a call to Lisa that afternoon about dinner. Messages, nothing, clean. I even woke her, shaking her shoulder gently. Dad? What? She rubbed her eyes, looking at us with genuine, sleepy confusion. You didn't call anyone? Just now. My voice trembled. I was sleeping, she said simply, and turned over, burying her face in the pillow. A minute later, her breathing was even again. We stood over her like fools, the hollow silence after the alarm pressed on our eardrums. System glitch, I said, trying to convince myself. A bug, it happens. Lisa nodded. Too quickly. We returned to the living room, trying to breathe that normalcy back in, but it wouldn't come. The air was different now, electrified. Suspicious. Exactly 20 minutes later, at 11:37 p.m., it repeated, the same shriek, the same blinding screen flashes, only the message changed. Emergency call received from this address. Caller reported a fire. Units are en route. Remain on site. This was no longer a mistake. Mistakes don't keep schedules, mistakes don't change the plot. Enough. I grabbed my phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. I'm canceling the call, it's a false alarm. The female operator on the other end sounded tired but composed. I stammered out the situation. Alert's coming, but our daughter's asleep. Everything's fine. I waited for her to say, yes, a network glitch, sorry, but instead, she said words that turned my spine to ice. Sir, I see a series of emergency calls from your address, beginning at 11:17 p.m. All calls are originating from your residential landline. The line remains open. I looked over at the old phone on the console table in the hallway, the cordless handset we hadn't used in years. It sat in its cradle, a small black LED glowing a steady green. Off. That's impossible. I choked out. We don't have an active landline. We disconnected it when Sophie was little. The system shows a number registered to David M. At your address. The calls are coming from that number. Her voice was implacably calm. Police are already en route to the first call. If this is a false report, you will need to meet the officers and provide an explanation. I thanked her and hung up, feeling the ground give way beneath me. Logic crumbled. The calls weren't from our mobiles, they were from a number that shouldn't exist, an unsolvable riddle. My mind hammered. How? Who? Why? The basement, the old wired phone, a pink plastic handset from the 90s we'd left down there just in case, plugged into a wall jack but not to an active line. It should have been mute, dead. The third shriek came at 11:57 p.m. Break in. We didn't jump this time, we just froze, staring at the screens, listening to that word pulse in the silence. Lisa was crying now, silently. I grabbed the heavy pry bar from beside the fireplace. Stupid, but it gave a ghostly sense of "Control, stay here, with Sophie," I ordered my wife, surprised by the hoarseness in my own voice. The descent to the basement was always unpleasant, the damp smell of concrete and old paint, the single dim bulb over the stairs cast giant, dancing shadows from boxes of Christmas ornaments and old textbooks. I moved slowly, listening to every creak of the floorboard under me, and then I saw it, in the far corner. On the homemade workbench of an old door from my first workshop, lay the pink phone, but it wasn't in its cradle, it was off the hook, the cord trailed from it, disappearing into a dark gap behind the bench, and on the rough wood of the bench, right in front of the phone, lay a sheet of lined paper, torn from a school notebook, Sophie's notebook. I stepped closer, not believing my eyes. Under the single bulb's glare, I saw her handwriting, sloppy, rushed, with the distinctive loops on her Y's and G's. I read, and the world turned over. "Dad, I'm sorry. I lost a game of truth or dare online. They said if I don't call and scare you every night, they'll hack into our house. They can hear us through the laptop camera. I'm scared." The blood drained from my face. It all snapped into place. A stupid, insane, but logical story. Childish cruelty migrated to the digital world. Blackmail, my child under threat. I turned to run back upstairs, to her, to grab her laptop and smash it against the wall, and saw her. Sophie was standing on the bottom step of the stairs. She was in her unicorn pajamas, but her expression wasn't sleepy or scared. It was empty, indifferent. She was looking at me with wide open eyes that held no spark of recognition. "Sophie. Honey, it's okay, we'll fix this," I mumbled, taking a step toward her. Then she slowly, very slowly, brought her index finger to her lips, the classic, chilling gesture, and then, without breaking that glassy stare, she reached out her other hand and pointed a finger directly at my pocket, the one with my phone in it. A cold sharper than any knife traced my spine, without taking my eyes off her. I felt for the device in my pocket. The screen was warm, like something alive. It was vibrating. I pulled it out. The black screen glowed with a new alert, not from the system, a text window, like from a messenger, anonymous sender, and words, just 3 sentences, but I read them once, twice, 3 times, and my mind refused to accept them. Toxic assistance, her confession, her fear, they weren't salvation, they were another layer of the trap, the final, fatal layer of deceit. It read, "She is lying. I am not your daughter. Take her to the basement and lock the door." I looked up. Sophie was still on the step, her lips, just shaped for SH, now twitched and stretched into a smile, not her usual, sunny, slightly crooked smile, but something alien, stretched and soundless, the kind of smile that makes your stomach clench and your grip tighten on a pry bar. And at that same moment, upstairs in the living room, Lisa's phones wailed again, a new alert, a final warning, and I stood there, trapped between the chill of the basement and the quiet smiling figure on the stairs, a dead receiver in one hand and a living, lying phone in the other, understanding only one thing: the ring of normalcy hadn't just cracked, it had shattered into shards, and right now, one of those sharp shards was looking at me with my daughter's eyes, waiting to see what I would do next. The silence in my Capitol Hill house after midnight isn't emptiness, it's a dense, saturated substance made of creaking floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, and the distant noise of cars from the Hawthorne Bridge. I sleep within these sounds as if in a cocoon, until at 3:07 a.m., the cocoon was torn by a new sound, a clear, crystalline, undeniable sound, the sound of breaking glass, downstairs. An icy spike ran from the crown of my head to my tailbone. I froze in bed, my ears straining painfully. Nothing, only the pounding of my heart in my temples and the suddenly deafeningly loud sound of the night's downpour outside. But I wasn't mistaken, it was glass. On the first floor, my hand, cold and clammy, reached for the phone on the nightstand. The screen light was blinding. I dialed 911, my fingers slipping, first ring, second, third, and instead of a dispatcher, I heard myself, my own voice. But strange, muffled, sleepy, with a slight rasp. As if I'd just woken up. "You've reached Chloe. I can't come to the phone right now. If it's important, leave a message after the tone, beep." I sat frozen, the receiver pressed to my ear. The unsolvable riddle stunned me more than the sound of breaking glass. It was my voicemail greeting, but not the polite, professional one I used for clients. This was my home voice, the voice no one but me ever heard, and it was on the emergency line. I hung up, my trembling became so violent I could barely hit the numbers. I dialed again, 2 rings, you've reached Chloe. I can't come to the phone right now. I threw the landline phone, grabbed my cell, the signal bar, always steady, was empty, no service, the phone's Wi-Fi was dead too, I was cut off. This was the change in the rules. The world where emergency services and communication existed had ceased to exist, it had been replaced, and then my house spoke, or rather, my own helpers, the 2 smart speakers in the bedroom and the living room downstairs powered on simultaneously, not at full volume, but at a barely audible background whisper, and they broadcast the same thing, a police radio feed, disjointed, professional voices, confirm call at 101 Broadway point 10-4, Unit 1 en route, and then, through the hiss, clear as day, report of a possible BNE, Capitol Hill, private residence, address. And my address was recited, my exact address. This was toxic assistance in its purest form. Technology meant to protect and entertain, now quietly, whispering, confirmed my worst nightmare, stripping away the last shred of hope for privacy. They knew. I crawled to the bedroom window, moved the curtain edge a millimeter. The yard was drowning in wet, black darkness, torn by streaks of rain, and I saw them, headlights cutting through the night. A car slowly, without flashing lights, pulled up to my curb and stopped, black and white, a police car. My heart leapt with a wild, irrational hope. They were here, the real ones, the system had worked. 2 figures in uniform got out of the car. Tall, in raincoats, they weren't in a hurry, they didn't look around, they simply got out and stood by the car, and both, in sync, turned their heads, and stared right at my house, at my dark window. I jerked back, my heart hammering. Why weren't they coming to the door? Why weren't they ringing? I couldn't take it. In a desperation mixed of fear and hope, I crawled back to the window, pushed the curtain wider, and waved my hand. I was clearly visible in the streetlight's glow. They didn't move, at all, they stood like statues, faces hidden by their caps' brims and shadow. Rain streamed down their coats, and then the phone in my hand vibrated, a single text, from an unknown number, Chloe. Do not go out. Do not open. This is not the police. The 911 system in your area is compromised. They can hear you. Hide. Wait for a second message. My blood ran cold. I looked out the window. One of the officers slowly raised a hand to his ear, to an earpiece. He was listening to something, and then they finally moved, with a slow, deliberate pace. They started walking toward my front door. I crawled back into the room's depth, under the bed, into the farthest corner. I heard it then, a sharp, demanding ring of the doorbell downstairs, once, twice, and then a voice spoke. A voice coming from the doorstep, my voice, the same sleepy, raspy one I'd heard on the phone. Chloe. Open up. It's the police. We're here to help. It sounded unnaturally even, mechanical, but the timbre was mine. It was my recording. They were playing it at my door. From downstairs came a sound, not of breaking, but of a soft click, as if the smart lock I'd never configured had decided on its own to let the guests in. I pressed myself into the wall, biting my fist to keep from screaming. Footsteps in the foyer, heavy, wet, not one person, 2, and again my voice. Now inside the house, echoing through the empty rooms. Chloe. Where are you? It's okay. Come out. We're here to help. They're looking for me, using my own voice as bait, and I'm sitting in the dark, my back against the wall, staring at my phone screen where a single unread message glows, and I wait for the promised second message that may never come, because whoever sent it, they, too, seem to have underestimated the rules of this new, terrible game where the walls have ears, and rescue speaks in your own, stolen voice. The quiet shift, that's what we call the night rotation at ICOM between 2 and 4 in the morning, when Vancouver, soaked and exhausted, goes still. The main flows, accidents on the Lion's Gate, brawls in Gastown clubs, have already ebbed. All that's left is the monotonous server hum, the click-clack of keys, and the muted voice of my colleague Mark somewhere at the far end of the floor, talking a drunk guy off a balcony. I sipped cold coffee, watching sparse snowflakes swirl in. The orange glow of streetlights outside, the ring of normality, clear, boring, safe. Then a new call flashed on my monitor, an incoming number, regular mobile, not blocked. I took it automatically. my voice already tuned to professional. "Com empathy, 911, what's your emergency?" The line was quiet, too quiet, not empty noise, not static, but a deep, sound-absorbing silence, as if the caller was inside a soundproof box. "Hello? 911, can you hear me?" Yes, a man's voice, middle-aged, calm, almost flat, but that flatness held a taut, steel-wire tension. "My name is Gavin Moss, I'm locked in my basement, the door is bolted from the outside, I can hear footsteps upstairs." I was already typing the address into the system. "Standard procedure, Gavin, I need your address, please, 1517 Queen Street." My fingers, flying across the keyboard, froze. A cold needle slid from the base of my skull to my tailbone. I knew that address. Every operator in our center did. It was part of our internal folklore, a dark tale told to rookies. 1 year ago, an arson fire, a house owned by one Gavin Moss, burned to the ground. The owner died. His remains were found in the charred basement ruins. Case closed. But a whiff of something unsaid, something ugly, lingered around it. Broken causality, a call from a place that doesn't exist, from a man who isn't alive. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay level. "Gavin, you're saying you're at 1517 Queen Street?" "Yes, in the basement." "He's walking around upstairs, please." That please sounded so genuine, so human, that for a second I doubted my own memory. A database error? Maybe the house was rebuilt. But no, I'd checked the district updates myself a month ago. The ruins were still there, secured, waiting for demolition. "Gavin, I'm sending help your way, stay on the line with me, for verification. Can you describe what you see around you?" It was a tactic, buy time, verify, get a clue that would explain everything. A crazy person? A cruel prank? He spoke quickly, in a whisper, as if afraid of being heard from above. Concrete walls, old green paint, peeling, shelves with canned goods on the right, a Maytag washer, yellow, with a rust stain on the hatch, wooden stairs, 12 steps, the door at the top. "It has a bolt on the outside." My breath hitched. With one hand, I pulled up the archive of crime scene photos on my second monitor. Grainy black and white shots from after the fire. The basement, charred but recognizable, green paint, blackened at the edges, a warped but yellow Maytag carcass with a distinctive rusty streak. The number of steps on the half-collapsed staircase, 12. Coincidence? No such thing. Those details weren't in the news, they weren't posted online. Only someone who'd been there could know them, someone who'd stayed there. "Police are already on their way, Gavin," I said, my fingers now flying across another tab, sending a silent, urgent request for a patrol car to do a visual drive-by. Mark from across the room looked over, frowning. He'd caught something in my tone. "He's coming down now." Gavin's whisper turned sharp, panicked. "Do you hear? The steps are creaking, the third and the seventh, they always do." A muffled, awful sound came through the receiver, a long, slow groan of wood under weight. One, a pause, another. At the same moment, a soft click sounded in my headset. The patrol channel, an officer's voice, calm, businesslike. "Dispatch, we're on scene, 1517 Queen, structure is fully burned out, ruins, perimeter is taped, no signs of entry or activity, all quiet." Their words, so solid and real, collided with the quiet horror in my earpiece. Two parallel, impossible worlds, and I was the bridge between them. He's on the last step." Gavin's voice broke into a half-sob. I could hear his rapid, ragged breathing. "The door. It won't open." "Oh God, Gavin, listen to me, police are right outside, he's in here." His scream tore through the silence in my headset, pure, animal terror, feral, deafening. I jerked back in my chair. "In the basement with me." A crash, the clatter of falling cans, and then silence, complete, absolute. The call dropped. I sat stunned, pressed back into my chair. On the screen in front of me, the call status blinked. Disconnected. The system began an automatic ping back. I stared at the progress bar, feeling goosebumps crawl up my spine. Mark approached. "Lindsay, you okay?" I didn't get to answer. The monitor displayed the geolocation result for the last call, not 1517 Queen Street, not a cell tower near there. The coordinates pointed to the building we were in, accurate to within 5 meters. The source of the call was listed as my own workstation terminal, an unsolvable riddle, absurd, a technical impossibility, glitch. I rasped, more to myself, has to be a glitch in the system. Mark glanced at the screen, and his face went pale. He Didn't say anything, just put a hand on my shoulder, and the touch made me flinch. The rest of the shift passed in a fog. I filed a report, blaming it all on unidentified line interference and possible system spoofing. I didn't believe a word of it. The sound of that creak, that scream, they were etched into my memory. In the morning, in the gray, frosty light, I walked out to the nearly empty staff parking lot. A dusting of snow covered the cars in a thin crust of frost. I trudged toward my Honda, chin tucked into my collar, trying to shake off the numbness, and stopped. On the driver's side of the windshield, someone had traced letters in the frost with a finger, clear, block letters, like a child writing on a fogged-up window. 1517, Queen Street. Thanks for talking. He knows your extension now. The air seemed to vanish around me. I looked around. The lot was deserted. Just the wind pushing a skin of snow dust across the asphalt. I swiped my palm across the writing, smearing it away, feeling the icy damp on my skin. I drove home, checking the rearview mirror the whole way, watching every pair of headlights behind me. I'm still checking.